Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. I hope you're well and dandy out there in Beatles land, fellow YouTubers, members of the VC and anybody else that's just come across this little channel. Now today we're going to do something that I haven't done for a while. We're going to do a unboxing. This has come today and I didn't order it till yesterday, so it took less than 24 hours for this to come. Now you're not probably going to want to watch me opening this with this knife in my hand unless you want to see me cut my fingers off. So what I'll do, I'll just pause it and then I'll come back to it once I've opened this, yeah? So just give me 2 secs. Okay, everybody, right, we're back and I didn't cut my fingers off, so that's one good thing. So I've already took the record out of here. So that is how it came, really nicely packaged. I'm so excited about this, really, I'm so excited. And what we've got is the Sex Pistols, never mind the now, as some of you may know, before I was Beatle Dave, I used to be Dave the Punk Rocker when I was in my very early teens, I must stress. And I've always had a soft spot for this album. I've got quite a few copies of this in my collection, but not a copy exactly the same as this, if that makes sense. So that's the track listing on the back. That's the front. I'll take it out of here because it is in a protective sleeve at the minute. So let's just take it out of that. So it's okay. This is a reissue. This is the 30th anniversary of this being released in the UK in 1977. So this came out in, 2007. Now, if this was an original one from 1977, it'd be worth hundreds, if not thousands. There's a couple of reasons why. One is you don't get submission on the track listing, and it is not on the LP. You get it as this, a one-sided single. That is how this came out originally. There was another variation of this where you still got the one-sided single, but the back was blank. There was no track listing on it whatsoever. The other thing you get is a giant poster, which we'll go into in a minute, and then we get the LP itself. So, like I said, this was released in 1977, and technically this is the only studio LP that the Sex Pistols ever made. This is not a brand new record, by the way. It is second hand. Now, the person that I bought this off also had the original version of this from 1977, exactly the same as this. It's just that in the dead wax, it will say Spot So 01 or something in the dead wax, you know, the one-night groove there. This doesn't, and this is a really heavyweight record. This is 180-gram vinyl. So, to be fair, they have done it really nice. They've done it very faithful to the original release, the old Virgin label, and if I remember rightly, very small writing just there, which you aren't going to see. It still does say "Made in England." So yeah, that is okay. You know, it's been played, so it's not mint. Yeah, that is really nice. Now, when I've done this video, I'll be playing this. So that's the LP. That is the sleeve. That's in okay condition. So it's not a bootleg or a counterfeit. This was actually released by Virgin Records in 2007 for the 30th anniversary. So before anybody starts saying, "Oh, that's a bootleg" or "That's an unofficial release," it is not an unofficial release. It is, you know, a proper release licensed by the record company. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of creasing just there, but apart from that, I think that looks really, really good for its age. And don't forget, 2007 quite a long time ago now, isn't it? And then this is the one-sided single. So this is how it would have come. Early copies didn't get submission on the LP, you got it as a one-sided single. So there's absolutely nothing whatsoever on that. Nothing whatsoever on that. Not even any grooves. And then so that is a one-sided single. Again, it's going to need clean. Now, some purists, and there's purists who collect punk. It's not just people that collect classical records or Beatles records or things like that. There's some people who won't buy a reissue, even though they will never ever be able to afford to get the originals. Now, the original of one of these is hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds. The chap that I bought this off did actually have an original, and it was very, very expensive. But even he said this is an exact replica, and you get this lovely, lovely. I'll have to go back so you can get it up. I get it all in. And that is all the songs. If you look at it properly, EMI, God Save the Queen, 17, Pretty Vacant, Holidays in the Sun, Anarchy in the UK. That is all the songs that are on the album. And this artwork was done by a chap called Jeremy Reed. Goes up that. If that was an original poster, that'd be worth a few £100 on its own. Um, so yeah, the Sex Pistols. This is the only studio album that they ever made, and it's a shame really because for saying it's a debut album, it's a fantastic album. I don't mind buying a reissue. I know there's no way ever that I could afford to buy the original ones of these, so getting this is the next best thing. It's like if you can't afford to buy, say, a Beatles White Album, the original Beatles White Album, you get the next best thing, which is an early 70s reissue or whatever you can afford. As long as it looks and sounds and hasn't been messed about with, and it's the same contents as original, then that's all that matters to me. Cheers, everybody. This is barley water, well, barley juice mixed with water. So, what's your feelings as a record collector? Do you like reissues or do you only buy originals? Now, in the case of the Beatles, see, I've got both. I've got originals and reissues and presses from around the world. This Sex Pistol album, I've got many, many copies of it in my collection. I've got an original one of these that doesn't have the submission on the back, but it hasn't got the one-sided single, and it's battered to hell. I've got a version of this which I think is an unofficial one where it is on white vinyl. I've got another version which is a later one and it's on the red and the green later Virgin labels from the early 80s. I've got a version of this which is from America where it's a pink cover and it's on Warner Brothers, although you do get the little Virgin logo on it as well, don't you? So yeah, it was a hit around the world. This was, and so it should have been. Now the Sex Pistols did reform many years later, and they've been on tours and things like that, and they did a live album, didn't they? And then they fell out with one another again, and at the minute they're still not talking to one another, are they? Which is a shame, to be honest. This features Glenn Matlock on bass on most of the tracks. Sid Vicious is on Bodies, I think, and maybe his own Problems as well. But I can remember watching an interview with Chris Thomas and Bill Price many years ago when and they was like saying everybody thinks Sid don't play on this, but he does. But he was mixed that far down in the mix, if that makes, to turn his bass down and stuff. But he is on it on certain tracks. Uh, this has just brought memories back to me being a teenager in my bedroom at home when I still lived with my mum and dad, and I had all punk posters and stuff around the walls. Posters around the walls. Nothing's really changed, has it, folks? Eh? You know, best part of 50 years later, nothing's really changed. Little Dave sat in a room with records and posters all over the place. Yeah, now when this record came out, there was a Virgin shop in Nottingham, and they had this in the window, and they got shut down because the police said this was obscene. This title was obscene, and Richard Branson actually went to court in Nottingham to say, look in the dictionary, and that is in the dictionary, so how can it be obscene? Um, yeah, I love this. I'm very, very happy to have this in my collection, to add to my collection. Am I bothered that this is a reissue? No, I'm not. No. This is one of those cases where, like I've said, I could never ever afford to buy this original one, even if I ever saw it. They do come up from time to time, don't get me wrong, but they are usually in the hundreds, if not thousands, and it would depend on the condition of them as well. So I paid a fraction of the price for this. I don't really like saying how much I've paid for records, but because you always get somebody who'll say, "Oh, look at you! You're bragging that how much you can pay for a record." Or you get somebody saying, "Well, I paid that much for it. I could get that for £5." Now, technically, you can get a copy of Nevermind the Bollocks for less than £5, but you won't be able to play it. I've got lots of copies of this. This is one of my favourite albums of all time, and it probably always will be because it brings back so many memories of when I was young and not an old git like I am now. Um, yeah, so I'm really, really happy to have this. And it did fool me at first when I saw it on the internet. I did, for 1 minute, I thought it was it was the real thing. Um, but it is what it is. It's exactly the same. It's the same mixes. You've got everything the same in here that you pay hundreds, if not thousands, for if you could ever find this. Um, I think this was like sort of sent to radio stations and things, wasn't it? I think I could be wrong on that. I don't know if you got the poster in America, and I don't think you'd have got the one-sided single in America, would you? Because when this was released in America, it was released in slightly later, wasn't it? And I think they put submission onto the LP by then. But yeah, it's a fantastic LP. If you've never ever heard this album, why not? um, but yeah, this is one that I wouldn't tell people to definitely buy it, but it's one that I should say you probably need to listen to at least once in your life. At least once in your life. And people of a certain age, like me, grew up with this record. So yes, that's going to be it, folks. Just a quick little video today. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Just Beatle Dave showing you something different than the Beatles, because every time I'm going on YouTube now, everybody's just on about a certain release by the Beatles, and I've said everything I'm going to say about that. Um, you know, so I thought we'll do something slightly different. Pill to go with the Sex Pistols, because obviously Johnny Rotten was a singer in the Sex Pistols, and then when they split up, he formed Pill. See, it's all connected. It's all connected. And obviously, Chris Thomas did produce a couple of songs for the White Album, Beatles White Album, believe it or not. Yeah. And then he went on to produce, didn't he co-produce Back to the Egg or something with Paul? Yeah, so I'm extremely happy to have this in my collection. I really am extremely happy. I hope it's coming over how happy I am. And this is another point in question where I love going to record fairs and I love supporting local record shops. But in this case, it just shows you what you can sometimes find on things like eBay. And I would never ever have thought I could have got this for the price I got it for. All I'm going to say was it was less than £50, and it was quite a bit less than £50. And I think that's marvelous, because for a decent copy of this album, you're going to be paying at least £20-25. That's, just a bog standard reissue of it. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. Why am I singing David Bowie one about Sex Pistols? I don't know. I must be going mad. Yeah, so what's your thoughts on this? Have you got this in your collection? And if not, why not? uh, are you a collector that does collect reissues as well as original uh, copies? Or are you one of these people that just have to have originals all the time? As a collector, it doesn't matter to me, and I think we're all slightly different, aren't we? I think we are all slightly different. I know people that will not go and buy a record if it's less than excellent condition, and I'm on about second-hand records here. Now, for second-hand record to be in anything like excellent condition, you don't come across them very often, do you? And when you do, they are expensive. So you get what you pay for in one way. Now, this is not a bootleg or counterfeit or anything like that. It's not pretending to be anything other than what it is. 30th anniversary edition. Yeah. And this was endorsed by Virgin Records. So it's time to say God save the Queen. No, it's not, because we've got a king now, haven't we? But yeah, so whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Just something a little bit different from Beatle Dave. Please leave comments below on this album if you've got it, if you think it's okay, if you think it's the worst thing that you've ever heard, or if you haven't heard it, or things like that. Have you got a copy of this? I'm sure some people say, yeah, I've got the original one. I got it for £5 off the flea market. You might have, but has it got the poster and the one-sided thing in it? That's what I'm saying. You can pick this album up for next to nothing sometimes, and then other times you will be paying a premium for it. And in this case, this is worth every single penny that I've paid for it. So that's going to be it. As I've said, love, peace and happiness to you all. If you've liked this video, just do me the courtesy of leaving me a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, just please leave them below. And as always, I'm out of here. Cheer everybody. Love and peace. Love and peace. Bye.